Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Today, our focus is going to be Lesson 3, our topic, adding and subtracting fractions. Today, with this lesson, a lot of people oftentimes struggle with adding and subtracting fractions, so if that is you, don't worry. Hopefully, these notes, as well as the way in which I explain it, will help make sense to you. If it doesn't, please be brutally honest and let me know. That is the only way that I can continue to grow as a teacher, and I will come up with another way to explain this to you and help you understand it better, okay? Before we start, please make sure that you write today's title at the top of your page. This is Lesson 3, Adding and Subtracting Fractions. And once again, as I'm going through this, if you need to pause this at any time to write down what is on the screen, please do that. That's what this video is for, to help you learn at your pace. Here we go. So for today, our essential question is, how can I add and subtract fractions with like and unlike denominators? Now, the unlike denominators is really something that we're going to have to pay attention to, and something that's going to involve a little bit of extra work as we proceed through this, okay? So once again, that essential question is, how can I add and subtract fractions with like and unlike denominators? Here we go. When we are adding and subtracting fractions, the one piece that we always need to make sure of is that our denominators must be the same, okay? And again, denominators must be the same. So if I have 6 in one fraction, I need to have 6 in the other fraction in order for me to be able to combine them together, okay? So when our denominators are the same, our process of adding and subtracting our fractions is fairly simple. First, the denominator does not change. Because our denominators are the same, we're going to leave it be. So again, our first step is that the denominator doesn't change. Our next step, step 2, is that the numerator is added or subtracted like normal. So if we have 4 in one numerator and 3 in the other, and we have addition, we'd go 4 plus 3, giving us 7. But again, that most important piece is that that denominator, once it is the same, it stays the same. Okay? Next, I've got a couple of examples for us. Here we go. Oh, sorry. One more section. When the denominators are different, okay, so when they are not the same, we need to make sure that we make them the same, and we're going to do that using equivalent fractions. You can also view this as finding the least common multiple. You can also use this in finding a common denominator. Ultimately, what you're going to be creating is an equivalent fraction, so that's what we're going to be doing. Then, we are going to add or subtract the numerators like normal. Now, in this, the one big thing that you're going to need to remember is if you change the bottom of our fraction, you also need to make that same change to the top. And you're going to get really tired of hearing me saying, what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Okay? All right, again, pause this video if you need to. I'm going to flip over, and we're going to do a couple of example problems together. Okay? Here we go. So, 2 examples that I have here. One has unlike denominators, and the other has like denominators. Our first example is 1/4 plus 3/8. Now here, 1/4 and 3/8 do not have a common denominator. 8 and 4 are different numbers. So now what I need to do is figure out what's a number that both 4 and 8 can go into. I'm going to do that down here. The number 4 is 4, 8, 12, 16, and 24. Those are some factors, or some multiples of 4. When I look at the number 8, I get 8, 16, 24, and 32. Now the lowest number that they both have in common is 8. So I'm now going to use 8 as my denominator. Because my 3/8 already has an eighth in it, I'm going to leave it exactly the same. But that means I'm going to need to change my 1/4. Now, in order to get 4 to 8, we would go 4 times 2. So I'm going to times my 4 here by 2. And anything I do to the bottom, I also have to do the top. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 2 as well. So now, instead of 1/4, I have 2/8. So my problem is going to be 2/8 plus 3/8. Now that my denominators are the same, they're going to stay the same. And I'm going to keep my denominator of 8. And now I'm going to add my numerators, which is 1, or in this case, 2 plus 3, which would be 5. So my answer is going to be 5/8. Now for question number 2, we have 4/19 minus 2/19. Always ask, is the denominator the same? In this particular case, yes it is. So we're going to keep our denominator the same. We don't have to make any changes to it. It's going to stay as 19. And now we just get to combine our numerators together. So we're going to go 14 minus 2, which is going to be 12. So our final answer is 2/19. Now just for good measure, we're going to go ahead and do one more example. And I'm going to have you guys change your denominators here. So let's go 3/8 plus let's go 1/3. Okay, so 3/8 plus 1/3. Now in this particular problem, neither denominator has a common number. So we're going to need to do that same setup that we did up here in order to help us. So I'm going to write down the number 8, and I'm going to look for factors of 8. Well, not factors of 8, multiples of 8. I apologize for that. So I'm going to get 8, then 16, then 24, and then 32. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the number 3. What are my multiples of 3? And my multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12. I don't have anything so far, so I have to keep going. Now, because 3 is a much smaller number than 8, I'm probably going to have to do multiple 3s, okay? So now I get 15, then 18, then 21, 24. Ooh, hey, they both have the number 24 in common. So now I'm going to have to multiply each one of these numbers by a factor in order to make my new denominators 24. Now, in order for me to get 24 from 8, I have to times it by 3. So I'm going to times the denominator by 3, and I'm going to times the top by 3 as well. So now I get 3 times 3, which is 9. So I'm going to put a 9 over here. For me to go from 3 to 24, 3 times 8 is 24. So I'm going to times this by 8, and I'm going to times my numerator by 8 as well. Remember, anything we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So now I'm going to go 1 times 8, which is 8. Now my denominators are nice and pretty. They both are 24. They're going to stay at 24. And now I'm going to add 9 and 8 together, which is going to give me 17. So our final answer is 17 over 24. Now for this assignment today, you guys are going to be doing an assignment out of your textbook. Now I know that several of you don't have your textbooks yet, so I have uploaded a photo of our assignment onto the computer, and you can use that to view and then just do your work on a separate sheet of paper. So I'm going to help you get that set up. So I'm going to flip to a new piece of paper. Okay. And my assignment is going to be down here. Okay. So your assignment today is going to be numbers 1 through 16, number 20, 21, and 24. So I'm going to write on here numbers 1 to 16, 20, 21, and 24. Okay. Now when we set up our paper we set them up very strategically. That's going to allow us to do the best work possible. Okay, so here we're going to put our name in the top right-hand corner. Now you do not need to put it in this entire little box right here. Use the wording and the spacing down here on the side. So I'm going to put my name, which is Mrs. Ross. Please make sure that you put your name down instead. Next, I'm going to put today's date. The date for this assignment will be approximately the 17th. So I'm going to go 9/17/2020. I'm going to put the class period, which is period 7. And we're going to go ahead and put the problems. So this is lesson 3. And this is numbers 1 through 16, number 20, number 21, and number 24. Okay, so you should have all of this written down on your paper before you start. Now that we've started, and we're going to get started, one thing that I'm going to ask is that you go down first, then you come over. Please don't jump back and forth here. Okay, go down first, and then you can create another column. Okay, so taking a look at this again, we are going to do numbers 1 to 16. So we're going to take a look at number 1 to start. Number 1 says find the least common multiple of the given numbers. Now that least common multiple is exactly what we did when we were finding that common denominator. So if I have the numbers 3 and 6, I'm going to put them over each other. Now my multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. My multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24. The lowest one that they have in common is 6. So I'm going to write my LCM is equals to 6. Now I'm going to go down below and do number 2. Number 2 says 3 and 5. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and write my 2 numbers above each other, and I'm going to look for the multiples of 3. This is going to be 3, 6, 9, 12. For 5, I have 5, 10, 15, and 20. Now I still don't have a combination, so I'm going to do one more. I get 15 here. Ooh, hey, I don't need to do another number on my 5 because I have 15. So my LCM is equals to 15. And that's going to be my final answer. Okay. Now you're going to continue to do that for numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave a space, and I'm going to help you out get started with numbers 8 and 10. Okay. So to start out with, for number 8, okay, and I'm going to happen to do number 8 over here on the side because I'm going to number the rest of these for 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now that I've labeled those, then I can create another column over here and start out with number 8. Okay. Number 8, the problem says find each sum or difference. Write your answer in simplest form. So here I'm going to write out the problem, which is 2/7 plus 3/7. Yes, you need to write out the problem. Now always remember to check your denominators first, and in this case, because our denominators are the same, we don't have to make any changes. Our denominator is going to stay as 7. So then we're just going to add our numerators. 2 plus 3 is 5. So our final answer is 5/7. Now I also said I was going to do number 10 with you. So I'm going to leave myself a line, and then I'm going to continue. Okay. Next up, I'm going to have 1/3 plus 1/6. What I want is for there to be a common denominator, and in this case, I don't have that. But a number that both 3 and 6 can go into is 6. So I only have to change one fraction, and that is my 1/3 here. I'm going to make both of these with a denominator of 6, because my 1/6 is already there, I'm going to just add that up top. Now, in order to get 3 to 6, I have to times it by 2. So I'm going to times it by 2 there, and I'm going to times it by 2 up here. I get 1 times 2, which is 2. So I have 2/6 plus 1/6, which is going to happen to give me 3/6. Now, our direction said to simplify this if possible. Can we make 3/6 any smaller? You are correct. The answer is yes, and 3 is half of 6, so our final answer is going to be 1/2 for number 10. Now, when you get down to number 20, okay, for number 20, I'll give you a shot on that one. So I'm going to write out number 11 here. I'm going to leave myself some space. Number 12 here. Leave myself some space. Oh, hey, I'll just go ahead and flip the page. So now that I flip the page, I'm going to continue to write down vertically first. So I was at 12. Now I'm going to go to 13. Then I'm going to go to 14. Then 15. And 16. Okay, so now I'm going to be down here at 20. Okay, so on number 20, it happens to be a word problem. Don't get afraid of these, okay? It says, one day after school, Keenan worked on his math homework for 4/5 hours. Okay, so we have 4/5. And his English homework for 1/4 of an hour. How long did Keenan work on homework for these two subjects? Well, our question is asking us what was his total amount of time spent. So here, would we use addition or we would use subtraction? For this particular problem, we are going to use addition because they want the total number of time that he spent working. So now, we are going to go ahead and find our common denominator. I have 4/5 plus 1/4. So I have 5 that I need to find a denominator for, and 4 that I need to find a denominator of 4. So I'm going to look at my multiples of 5. I have 5, 10, 15, 20. For 4, we get 4, 8. Sorry about that. 12, 16, and 20. They both have 20 as a common denominator or a common multiple. So I'm going to rewrite these fractions with a denominator of 20. Now I'm going to need to multiply each one of my denominators by our particular number in order to make it 20. And in this case, 5 times 4 is going to give me 20. So I'm going to times by 4 on top as well. So I'm going to go 4 times 4, which is 16. Now, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go 4 goes into 20 5 times. So 4 times 5 on the bottom, and I'm going to times by 5 on top. Now that's going to leave me with 1 times 5, which is 5. And now I'm going to add these together. So ultimately, I'm going to go 16 plus 5, which is 21. My denominator stays the same at 20. And this is going to be our final answer. Now, if you would like to take this one step further and convert it into a mixed fraction, which isn't something we've done yet, but something you can do with this problem, your answer would also be 1 and 1/20. Okay? Now, because this is a word problem, we need to make sure that we put words in our answer. So we are going to say, Keenan spent 21/20 of hours on homework. If you would like to use 1 and 1/20 instead, you may do that as well, but either one of those is the correct answer. Okay, now lastly, the only problems you're going to have remaining to do are numbers 21, number 24. Okay, so give those problems a shot. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. I will help you guys get your assignment started when we meet virtually, and if you need anything at all, let me know. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.